Happy Monday. It's Dr. Leslie Apgar here at Greenhouse Wellness. As you know, I am the medical director, and today we are so happy that our friend Drew Rich is here. He is the director of operations from AFS and OG Clear. And today we are talking about all things concentrate. And Drew is going to go ahead and educate us all, and we are so looking forward to this.
Dr. Apgar, first, thank you for having me.
Oh, we're so happy to have you, Drew.
Beautiful
Thank you.
Day.
Yes.
Great to be here. The one thing I want to talk about really is to get past the idea that concentrates are really for the people that want it for recreation.
Right, the stigma.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
that a lot of people, right.
People get intimidated, but they think that they need this glass concoction with a blowtorch, and
which is a little off-putting, I'm not going to lie.
Right, absolutely, and I get that. The cool thing is that these recreational users have really done a lot for concentrates in terms of getting us to the point where we are, and the medical benefits of concentrates versus just using flour. It's pretty cool. Right off the bat, like patients that have compromised immune systems, or lupus, for instance, or they're intimidated by flour.
Right.
Concentrates still get the medical effects of a flour, but in a higher dosage per use, as well as there's no molds, no microbes, no mildews, there's no heavy metals, and so you're just getting a cleaner healthier
version.
Medicine.
Right.
There's no tar, there's no carcinogens that you would get from smoking a flour, for instance.
Got it. So take us through. We have all these different forms of concentrates here at Greenhouse. We'll take this one, for example.
Yeah.
This is a sugar.
Correct. So sugar, basically.
We can show. I don't know if you guys will be able to see this, but it's very granular looking. It's a creamy yellow, and it looks just like sugar.
Correct. So there's different ways to be able to extract your cannabinoids and your terpenes from your trichomes from cannabis. The one used format that we use is BHO. So we use butane, butanol, and propanes we flush basically the raw plant material, and from that you get an extraction of oil almost consistency of that's got all your THCs, all your total cannabinoids, and your terpenes.
Yeah, we love the terpenes.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing I really want to talk about with concentrates. The sugar is a great example, but really everything that when it comes out is going to look like that.
So this is shatter.
Shatter, okay. Right? So shatter is going to be the first form of extraction that when it comes out and it gets purged in the oven so that they can get rid of all the bake off, all the residual solvents,
right? So
that we have a nice clean medicine. And really from there, it goes down the ladder. So the only difference between a shatter and a sugar is that's going to purge a little bit longer. So the only downside with that is you're going to lose some of the terpene content. It's going to bake off, and then it's just manipulated physically so that you get that granular, and that it's all personal preference with concentrates.
And that's why we have things like a wax,
right,
which actually looks like a clump of wax. I don't know if you can see that. Or we have batter, which is a little bit creamier looking than the sugar was. But again, it's just personal preference. Drew.
Some people say that they find it's more flavorful, when it's as a butter or a sugar. Some people prefer they find that they can more easily control their dosaging with stuff that's more playable. When they're scraping it out with this guy, obviously a shatter. See this tool right here. Most dab concoctions are going to come with, these dab rigs that they have today are going to come with something like this, and that you would use instead of your oily hands touching the actual product. You'd use this to break it off. So some people prefer the playability of a wax or a butter. It's easier to scoop.
Got it. But it's really just personal preference.
Personal preference.
So what would make THC, or I'm sorry, what would make the shatter, or what's in shatter, different from one of these other concentrates? What makes this unique?
So it's going to have a higher terpene content.
Okay.
After we purge off the residual solvents. We're trying to make sure that we're trying to encapsulate as much terpene as we can, because truth be told, that's where the real meds are.
And I love that you say that too, because I am always all about the terpenes. What about the acid forms in the shatter?
So with any concentrate, you're like the THCA is going to be the majority of what we're able to extract. Versus like a CO2 extraction, a lot of times, they are able to create other products so that the acid form is not as prevalent.
Right. So the THCA, say, in shatter would be higher than in other concentrates. Is that a fair statement? Okay.
Yep.
Because it's the first on the assembly line to make these others.
Yep.
And it would have been decarboxylated because of the higher temperatures with the other concentrates.
Like my favorite one to use is, and I know that you love it, is our Sun CBD shatter from SunMed.
Right.
We took some ACDC trim and we took some Shark Shock, which the ACDC is a pure CBD flower, and then the Shark Shock is at 1:1. Really cool. The mix we got, we were actually able to get a 45% THCA content, 37% CBD content, and total cannabinoids were at 90%.
Oh my God. Okay. So that I always am trying to get the high CBD medicines in here for you guys. Okay. Because we always want to have a broad selection of medicine for you. And so this is music to my ears. You just told me this morning that we're going to have this new concentrate available to us with such a high CBD component, which just makes me very happy. So thank you.
And the cool thing is you can capture other stuff. With that Sun CBD shatter, we actually were able to capture almost 3% CBGA.
Oh,
so
I
for
love that.
glaucoma patients, it's huge.
Yeah, love that.
It's huge. And to give you an example of kind of what makes concentrates advantageous for real medical patients is if you look at like the lab results for the Shark Shock that we used and this ACDC, total percent was like 0.2% CBGA.
Right.
And we're able to convert that into almost 3% that you're getting from a concentrate versus smoking a flower.
I love it. I love it. Okay.
Same thing with the terpene content. That flower from G-Leaf, and the spectrum of terpenes is amazing. But if you have something where it's like 0.5% of pinene, let's say, we can turn that into 2%, 2.5% pinene in our concentrate.
I love that. So part of the many of the questions we get really, Drew, are how do you use these concentrates? How do we educate the patients to use them? I know we're going to talk about cooking with this in a second, but first let's talk about some of the devices that are popular to use. How would you use these?
So it's actually great. I'm actually also a patient in the program, and I use the Dr. Dabber product. I have the Aurora.
Okay, this is the Ghost. But
it's very similar. Mm-hmm. And the nice thing about it is I find that with using like these type of dab pens, you can really control your dosage. When you're with a vape cartridge, you pull and you really don't know the milligrams you're getting, mm-hmm. right? But vape products are great,
right?
But if you're really looking to regulate your dosaging, I mean, I look at this. This is 500 milligrams of our TNG shatter,
mm-hmm.
and so I know that total cannabinoids are 85%, so that I'm going to have roughly 425 milligrams of meds.
Right.
So that I know that if I break this off a little piece, I can more easily control my dosaging.
You can figure out what your dosing is.
Correct.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's helpful.
Yep. And with breaking it off, you're not just really ease your way into concentrates. You're not going to be overly medicated, because you can really step into it.
So does this actually get hot enough to use it with shatter, or do you have to use the Dr. Dabber Boost for
absolutely
shatter?
You can use this with shatter.
Oh my gosh, that's great to know.
So that you just break off a little piece. This has a little atomizer capsule, and you just break it off. It looks something like this guy.
Okay.
And then break it off into there, and it heats right up for you.
Okay, great. So for maybe the more novice patient, you might want to start off with one of these, and then
and discretion is also great with this.
Sure. It's very discreet.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's quick. It's painless.
Right. This is not necessarily so discreet, is it, Drew?
Correct. Yeah.
But this is for maybe a more sophisticated user, or.
So the one advantage you have with a setup like this is the temperature. These tend to get hot right, pretty quickly.
Right.
You can control the temperature more easily with a setup such as this one. And same exact thing, you're controlling your doses because you're using this tool to break it off and
then again, no blowtorch with this, right?
No blowtorch with this, right? Which is
very
huge.
attractive,
right? Absolutely.
To me.
And
safer.
With that being said, I do have pros and cons to everything.
Right.
The one pro to using a blowtorch in that glass rig is that you can really get a nice low temp because you're only heating up the glass. It's like you're applying. You're just
I like
heating
that.
up the glass.
So you're getting more of the medical benefits if you're heating at a lower temperature, which is good. So this has been great. I mean, huge information so far. Now, I know that patients have asked us for weeks and months, how do we use the shatter if we don't want to use it in one of these pens or in a rig? And you were going to talk to us about how to use this at home.
Absolutely. So again, if you have a compromised immune system and you don't want to smoke, right? Vape cartridges are a great way to not have any molds, mildews, or microbes. With a concentrate like this, you can actually replace using flour in your edibles and making butters with those if you're really trying to avoid.
So easy.
Correct.
I mean, it comes to you pre-made. Yep. You don't have to
make butter first.
You don't have to do any of that nonsense. You just buy shatter
and take
it home.
Yep.
And what do you do with it?
So, and again, like I said, it's very clean, no molds, nothing like that. And so making edibles really simple. I would let's say I want to make a batch of brownies.
Okay.
And I want 10 brownies out of that batch, right?
Sure.
And I'm struggling with radiation from in chemo.
Sure.
And I need some higher dosaging on my brownies.
Okay.
So let's say I want 40 milligram per brownie, right?
Okay.
So make 10 brownies. So I would add all of this in a pan. And if you're health conscious, you don't have to use a butter. You can use MCT oil, coconut oil, or like an almond butter, anything that has fats, it's got a little fattiness to it, because basically what that does, it'll emulsify this into a more of a viscous consistency, and then from there you would just add it into your brownie batter or if you want to make waffles, whatever it may be. And then the cool thing is that the acid form, which is the majority of this, is actually going to be activated when you bake those brownies. And the nice thing about that is if I mix this with the butter or anything that's fatty, I know exactly how much medicine I'm
getting. Because we already said this is, we know it's 500 milligrams out of the gate.
You buy an ounce, a quarter of flour, right? 7 grams of flake brownies. I don't know what THC content that particular 7 grams has.
Exactly.
Right? I know exactly what this has.
Yeah. So
I know exactly what I'm getting, and then when I cut those brownies up,
I can do the math.
Exactly.
So for Control Freaks Anonymous over here, I think this is a great way of managing your dose at home.
Yep.
So that's great advice. I learned a lot
today. It works great with gelatins as well. So if you want to make gummy edibles and stuff like that, it's also a no-brainer.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So as always, guys, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to write in, and either we'll answer them now live or we'll answer them later on today. Is there anything else, concentrates, that we missed?
No, I would just say, we need to get away from sativa indica hybrid and get more towards
I love it.
What terpenes you like. And the nice thing is with concentrates, we're not always strain specific. I can, like I was talking about, we combine the ACD and the Shark Shack, and I can really, if I have a small amount of pinene in this strain and a small amount of this, I combine those, and now I have that larger concentration of that terpene profile you're looking for.
Right. And so when I'm treating disease states in these patients, I want the richest form of that plant that I can find. I mean, I want the most amount of CBD, the most amount of THC, the most amount of CBG, CBN, CBC. I want all these terpenes. I want it as rich and powerful as possible, because I think that we don't exactly know what the 1 or 2 things are that are helping against cancer. And so let's get everything in there, because there's definitely data that some of these things are effective. And so in my world, the more the merrier.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, great.
Thank you.
Well, Drew, this was absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for educating us.
Absolutely. Happy Passover and happy Easter to everybody.
Happy spring.
Yeah, happy spring.
Yes. All right, guys. Again, if any questions, just write in. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next Medical Monday, next Monday. Bye-bye now.